Hi guys, my name is Jennifer Griffin and I'm with TV Pulse magazine.
Hi,
Hi,
Jennifer.
Jennifer.
So it's nice to meet you both.
You too.
I have questions for both of you, obviously, and I apologize in advance if you've heard these 20 times today already. It must be the end of a long day. But Pam, I'd like to start with you. Obviously, you're the co-creator and the co-showrunner with Remy. Um, what inspired you to create this show at this moment in time?
Well, honestly, it was just the inspiration was I was just a huge fan of Rami, and I begged my manager just to get me a meeting with him. Honestly, that's how it all started. I just wanted to meet him, and I just love what he was doing. I just love his comedic voice. I love how he's like emotional in his show on Hulu, but he's also like not afraid to also make himself sort of the bad guy in the stories. Like
Yes.
he always make, it's just it's an incredible sort of creative bravery. So anyway, this all kind of started because I just wanted to meet him, and I honestly just thought it was going to end there. And we just started talking, and he had this idea in the back of his mind after he had done an episode of Rami where they do a flashback to him as a kid, and he has this fantasy sit down with Osama bin Laden. He's like, "Oh, I wish I could explore that world more, but I think animation would be better for it." So he brought it up in the meeting, and I'm like, yeah, I probably might be interested.
Yeah, you're in.
I was that cool.
Yeah.
That was how I came to the project.
Yeah, yeah. And I suppose the question is, do you think that a story like this is needed now at this time? Maybe that's a heavy question, but
I mean, it is a heavy question. I just think, I mean, yeah, we do definitely touch on sort of like political subjects, but I think the core of the show is about this family. Hopefully we care and love.
yes,
You
yeah,
care about and love. And
yeah,
and the fact that, and it is so funny to me that the idea of presenting, a Egyptian Muslim family in New Jersey is considered like radical. Like
mm,
me, it's like,
mm,
all right, this is an immigrant family. And I hope, what people will get out of it is just like they're super funny, they're super weird, they're super specific, and I kind of see myself in them. Do you know what I
cool.
mean?
Yeah,
Past the political thing,
yeah,
just like
yeah,
they're funny people.
yeah. So I mean, looking at the show, I tried to watch them all. I couldn't watch them all over the weekend, but I've watched I think about 6 episodes
Good.
so far. Yeah, so I'm really enjoying it. I'm really liking it. I don't want to give away any spoilers. But one thing that surprised me, so obviously it's a comedy. It's on Prime Video. It's going to be sharp. It's going to be funny. But what I didn't expect was it's kind of heartbreaking at times. There's moments of kind of pathos in there that catch you by surprise when you're not expecting it, you're least expecting it. And I suppose my question there is how do you walk that fine line between comedy and pathos, and also between comedy and sensitivity, which I think the show does very well.
That's a great question. I mean, it's funny,
Yeah.
like comedy, I think always comes from like there's a flip to it. And sometimes like comedians get the bad rap of being like comedy comes from anger. And sometimes
Yes. Yeah.
comedy does come from anger, some of the best comedy comes from anger, but then some of the other comedy comes from like sadness or fear. And you know what I mean? And I think, a lot of this, like I, take my lead from just Rami's comedic voice. And I think he's such a talented and brilliant guy that he is able to, that's his MO. That's what he does, that he's able to go and do these grace notes and these sort of heartbreaking moments. So that's kind of what I learned the most from this experience was, it's in there, right? But it's sort of like
Yeah.
he's brave enough to go like, oh, no, we're going to go there. And that
Yeah.
makes things to me extra funny if you're going to
Yeah.
be honest. Yeah.
Totally.
One other thing that I think is quite powerful for us kind of doing this oscillation between the comedy and the tragedy, which we haven't really talked about a ton, because I think Rami's probably better positioned to talk about, is the music. Like the music really, really helped us to do that. And that is something I have absolutely zero knowledge or experience of. And I just kind of watched it unfold before me with like, I kind of marveled at it because yeah, it really helps the viewer to make these massive emotional switches in a relatively short space of time without feeling like they've had whiplash.
Yeah.
Yes, those musical numbers at times were so surprising. And you
Yeah.
go, oh, this is a song.
Yeah.
Great. It was
Yeah.
brilliant. Absolutely
Yeah.
fantastic.
And it really,
So-
like a musical, does explore like the interiority of a character, right?
of their
Absolutely.
mind, or
Yeah.
or their emotional situation
Yeah.
at the time.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So Mona, I wanted to speak to you a little bit about the visual style, because
Mm.
we're looking at a show that literally could have been made back in 2001. There's a very, very particular artistic style there.
Yeah.
And I was kind of thinking, what does it remind me of? It reminds me a little bit of Rick and Morty. It
Oh.
reminds me a little bit of like a very early Bob's Burgers, you know, that kind of that style. Obviously, you do know the style, you've done it, but can you talk to me a little bit about the creative decision? You know, why was it done that way? And did you draw inspiration from, you know, any particular artist or any particular shows of that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I sent you know, Pam and Rami a ton of references. Doug, Peanuts, Daria, like both children's animation as well as adult animation. And it was really nice. It was like very reassuring that actually we all gravitated towards the same references. Like I was really scared that when I sent over Doug, people would be like, oh, I don't really love it. But everyone loved Doug. So there was a lot of pulling references. And then, you know, actually something that was really reassuring that Pam told me, I don't know if you remember this, Pam, I was getting quite frustrated because I was sending character design after character design of the family, and the notes, like, you know, we had a lot of honesty between us. It was just like, these aren't quite working. And I remember I sent one round of the family where people were like, there's something about this version of the sister that is getting close. Like I can see something that's happening here. And I remember Pam was just saying to me, actually, it's a year minimum to start to actually get character, which I had no idea about.
Yeah.
My idea was like, oh, you know, it's going to take me a month. I send them in, everyone should be happy. So I was getting you know, I felt like I was doing a bad job. And so that again was like such a fantastic learning curve of, this is really hard. It's really, really hard. And it took so many rounds. I also remember when I was doing the turnarounds, Pam, do you remember, like, I was like, you know, why is it that when I rotate a character, all of a sudden it doesn't look like the same person? And he was like, no, that's actually pretty standard, that it's really hard to make it look like the same. So anyway, I just feel really privileged. Like, how many other people get to learn on the job like this? Like, I'm very, very lucky. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, yeah. And you know that it's kind of, the show is grounded in time and also
Yes.
in the culture of the time, I suppose, as well. Were there any, you know, key elements that you knew that you just, oh, I have to get this in there. I really need to incorporate this into the show?
Yeah, so there's two elements there. You mentioned time, but I would also say the geography was really important. Like, it had to feel like this was really, really a family that came from New Jersey. So again, a lot of research into like, what is the right architecture for the home, and what should the school look like, even the mosque that the family attends. So it was the geography and like looking up a lot of references for Hackensack and New Jersey. But to get the time right, the different elements of that were technology. So, you know, exactly what kind of a computer would Rami have in his room? What kind of a phone should Hussein have on his hip? And then fashion as well, right? Like, I remember wearing pedal pushers. They really made it even over to the UK. And so Mona's outfits, her platform shoes.
Her platforms, yeah.
Even like the little top that has like the little tie, you know, like all of that stuff felt like it's so of the era. And it's fun because then you don't, you know, we're not constantly underscoring and saying to the audience over and over again, hey, we're in 2001, hey, we're in 2001. If you do that work correctly of communicating that visually, you can just let people sit in that world without having to shove it down their throats.
Yeah, fantastic. So I know we're running short on time. Actually, probably time for one last question for both of you. What do you hope viewers will take away after they watch this family story?
I hope viewers take away like, oh, this is just like a super funny family without it having to represent, you know, all of Islam and all the, you know, the Muslim sort of immigrant community. I also hope, and this is something that Rami is so great at, I also hope like we do high and low successfully, like we sort of have elevated moments, and then we have really super dumb moments. Like the elevated moments, like, I don't know if you remember this episode, in the episode, it's sort of like Rumi is upset, you know, after his grandpa dies, he's reading a book by Rumi, and, you know, there's a quote about like, oh, you know, the wound is where the light comes in. And you're like, look. See, that's my favorite stuff of just like, and especially if we have like, you know, like a younger audience.
Pervert.
But you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
it just throws something smart with a bunch of dumb stuff.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that basically is life. Life is something smart with a bunch of dumb stuff.
Mm, mm. Very good.
I feel like that's the perfect summary. Yeah.
About life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just as long as we can just can get something smart.
Yeah. Okay. Well, guys, I have 20 more questions I could ask you, but I obviously we're on a timer. I have my timer in front of me and I've run over. Thank you so much for your
Thank you,
time today.
Jennifer.
I love speaking to you both, and
You too.
best of luck with the show. I'll be watching.
Oh, awesome.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
Take care.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye. Bye.